Trump's ego hurt by lack of credit, tariff has nothing to do with Russian oil, revealed in a US research firm's report. Just imagine. When the world's most powerful president gets angry simply because he didn't get credit for an issue, what could he do? If his ego is wounded, could he put the entire economy at stake? This question may sound hypothetical, but in reality, this is exactly what happened. Donald Trump, who considered himself a deal maker, negotiator, and symbol of a superpower, was sidelined by India on an issue he wanted to present as the greatest achievement of his career. And the result of this hurt ego was a 50% tariff on India. Today, we will dive deep into this very subject. But before that, if you are new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe so that you receive every update of our latest videos first. So, let's begin today's discussion without any delay. The American brokerage firm Jeffries clearly wrote that this tariff was not connected to India buying oil from Russia, but rather to Trump's personal ego. He had hoped to act as a mediator in the India-Pakistan conflict, establish peace, and be remembered by the world as a peacemaker. But India firmly refused, stating that it was a bilateral issue and there was no need for a third country. For Trump, this was not just a political loss, but a personal defeat. And to cover up that defeat, he imposed heavy tariffs on India's exports. This incident once again proved that in Trump's politics, his personal ego outweighed national interest. History showed that he repeatedly made decisions that had weak reasoning, but helped him craft the image of a strong leader. Trump's trade war with China is the biggest example of this. In 2018, he imposed tariffs worth hundreds of billions of dollars on China, claiming that China was exploiting America. But the reality was that these tariffs burdened American farmers, manufacturers, and consumers. US soybean and corn farmers lost markets overnight because China retaliated by cutting imports from America. As a result, the US government had to provide billions of dollars in subsidies to its farmers, while Trump kept claiming that he had brought China to its knees. Similarly, he lashed out at NATO. For decades, America had been NATO's biggest supporter, but Trump declared that European countries were taking advantage of America, and he repeatedly threatened that the US could withdraw from NATO. This statement not only shook Europe, but also indirectly benefited Russia. Experts warned at the time that this move was against America's national interest. But Trump didn't care, because what mattered more to him was showing that he could break the old system and create a new one. The decision to withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement also falls into this same category. Climate change is a global crisis, but Trump called it an unfair burden on America and pulled out of the agreement. The real reason was that he wanted to show his supporters that he was a leader who would not bow to international pressure. The result was that America's environmental leadership weakened, while China and Europe stepped in to fill that void. All these examples make it clear that in Trump's politics, the battle of ego versus national interest always ended with ego winning, and the tariff imposed on India was also part of the same mindset. Relations between India and the United States have long been complex. Today, India exports billions of dollars worth of goods to the US, such as textiles, pharmaceuticals, engineering goods, and IT services. Meanwhile, America sells India technological products, aircraft, and agricultural goods. For decades, the US has wanted India to open up its agricultural market to foreign companies. But no Indian government has ever agreed to this step, since it is tied to the livelihoods of nearly 250 million farmers and laborers. When Trump imposed a 50% tariff on India, it had a direct impact on Indian exporters. Small and medium enterprises that exported textiles and handicrafts to America suddenly saw their orders drop. Pharmaceutical companies also came under pressure. Farmers' organizations warned that if India were to give in to US pressure and open its agricultural market, the country's rural economy would collapse. On the ground, the consequences were even more serious. Textile exporters from Gujarat and Punjab, who sold cotton and fabric to the US, suffered heavy losses. 80 companies too feared that tariffs might eventually spill over and affect the services sector. But the biggest blow was felt by farmers, as American companies were pushing to bring wheat and corn into India at cheaper rates. Jeffries' report warned that these tariffs were not good for America either. Pushing India away would only mean it would move closer to China and Russia. India was already buying oil from Russia at discounted prices. Now, if it faced difficulties in the American market, it could increase its dependence further. This would go directly against America's own strategic interests. This is not the first time that decisions in global politics have been driven by ego. In the Russia-Ukraine war, Vladimir Putin's ego was clearly visible. He repeatedly said that Ukraine must not join NATO as it threatened Russia's security. But when his demands were ignored, he chose the path of military invasion. That decision was more personal than strategic, and its consequences shook the entire world. The same can be seen in the China-Taiwan issue. China repeatedly claims that Taiwan is a part of it. But Taiwan's democratic elections and America's support for the island become a challenge for Chinese leaders. That's why every time Taiwan's president visits the US, China responds angrily with military drills. This anger is not just political, but also a reflection of national ego. History shows that when great leaders turn their personal ego into national policy, it is the common people who pay the price. Trump's tariff on India teaches the same lesson. It benefited neither America nor India. The real loss was borne by farmers, workers, and small businesses. But the biggest takeaway from this story is that global politics is not driven only by economics and strategy. Human emotions, ego, and the hunger for credit are also part of it. And when these collide, the direction of the world changes.
If our video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestions. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources, news from various news agencies, opinion polls and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.